Hello everyone, I'm Sakshi. Welcome back to MEMONEET. I'm a third year physiotherapy student and today we'll be discussing about the zoology section of full test 3. Last when we met, it's been a time, right? So to begin with, here at MEMONEET, what we are focusing on right now is the test series consisting of all full tests. The full test where we'll be talking about the zoology section. I'll be discussing all the questions and telling you all tips and tricks to remember the questions, to remember the answers to those questions, or rather than to remember and mug them up, to find out easier ways where you can keep them in your memory stored forever. Because there are certain things that that I studied, I still remember them. May be concepts, may just be pure sentences based NCERT lines, but we are here to master it all. So let's begin. So moving to question number 151. One second. Yeah. So to move on to question number 151. Which one of the following groups of animals is bilaterally symmetrical and triploblastic? The answer for this is option number 1, which is Aschelminthus. How do we know that? Okay. So we know that Aschelminthus, if we see here, is a phylum consisting of pseudocoelomates. We know that, right? We have Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthus. Now, what is triploblastic? What is symmetrical and bilaterally symmetrical? Okay. So if we go to see bilaterally symmetrical, it means that whenever a line passes through the organism, it divides it into two equal halves. That is bilaterally, and the two halves are equal. So it's symmetrical. Okay. And here we have Aschelminthus, which is consists of pseudocoelomates, and their body is slender, bilaterally symmetrical, and triploblastic. This is some characteristics that we do need to remember. Just something to know for y'all is that for the entire chapter of Animal Kingdom, we provided excellent notes. You all can check it out in our MEMONEET app. And even if you all prefer creating your own notes, you all can refer to those notes and make excellent notes for yourself. We'll also be providing printed notes very soon, so stay tuned for that. Whenever reading this chapter, please try to compare the chapter and study so the characteristics can be remembered very easily. Moving to the next question, coelom. Coelom is found between what? Outside the ectoderm, uh, ectoderm and endoderm, mesodome and body wall, mesodome and ectoderm. Okay, little confusing? No. Let's see. So answer for 152 is the third one, which is mesodome and the body wall. What is coelom basically? Because of the presence or absence of coelom, we can classify organisms into coelomates, acoelomates, and pseudocoelomates. Okay, we know what's a pseudocoelomate. We know what's an acoelomate. Acoelomate is something that does not have an organism which does not possess the coelom. Okay, what is coelom? It's a fluid-filled body cavity that forms the main body cavity of the vertebrates and most invertebrate animals. It is found where between the mesoderm and the endoderm, which is the wall of the body. Okay. So between the mesoderm and the endoderm, we have a body cavity known as the coelom. So if this is the coelom between the mesoderm and the endoderm. Okay. Now, if the coelom is absent, it is known as an acoelomate. If the coelom is present, it's known as a coelomate. If the coelom, what's the pseudocoelomate then? If the coelom is present, scattered or like in pouches. Okay. So it's known as pseudocoelomate. It's present in its entirety, but it's present in patches. So it's a pseudocoelomate. What's a pseudocoelomate? It's Aschelminthus. Okay, my next question. One of the representatives of phylum Arthropoda. Arthropoda is the largest phylum in animal kingdom. We all agree to that? Yes. So the answer for 153 is 4, which is one of the representatives of silverfish. So this is something I need to remember, which organism belongs to which phylum, which class, etc. Okay. So, and what is included in phylum Arthropoda are all insects. Okay. So if we get confused, see, pufferfish, flying fish, cuttlefish are all examples of fishes. But silverfish, even though it has the term fish in it, it's not a fish. It is an insect which belongs to phylum Arthropoda. Moving to the next question. Which one of the following pairs of animals comprises of jawless fishes? Okay. So now what is jawless fishes? Jawless fishes are the ones which do not have a jaw, correct? Which is Agnatha and Gnathostoma. Agnatha. Agnatha. A meaning without, Gnatha meaning jaws. So it's Agnatha, which is without jaws or jawless fishes belonging to Cyclostoma. What is the answer for this? The answer for 153 is option number 2, which is lampreys and hagfishes. They do not possess any jaws. Okay. So the example needs to be remembered. The more questions you'll do, the more you'll realize that there's a pattern, that the examples are repeated, and you'll know that, okay, this example belongs to this class or this phylum, etc. So 155, compared to those of humans, the erythrocytes in frogs are, okay. What is erythrocytes? Erythrocytes are RBCs. Okay. How are the RBCs of humans? They are biconcave discs, right? Do they have a nucleus or do they not have a nucleus? They do not have a nucleus, right? But what is the difference with that of frogs? Frogs have a nucleus, right? So the answer for this 155 is option number 2, which is they are nucleated with hemoglobin. So hemoglobin is present in both humans and frogs. So that's not a differentiating factor. The differentiating factor is the presence and absence of a nucleus. The kidney of an adult frog is known as mesonephros. That is the correct answer. This is something you'll need to know. Then frogs have. Okay, so for question number 157, you have to choose the best option from the following statement. So, which is regards to frog's heart when taken out of the body continues to beat for some time. Why does this happen? Okay, so as it's given here, frog is a poikilotherm. Is that correct? Yes. Frogs are poikilotherms. Why? Because they are able to, poikilotherms is someone who can regulate their body temperature with respect to changes in the surrounding temperature. Okay. So the statement is correct. Frogs are poikilotherms. But does that relate to why its hearts beat, why the heart beats when taken out of the body? No. So this option is not correct in reference to the statement mentioned. Next is frogs do not have any coronary circulation. That's correct. They don't have any coronary circulation. But is that why their heart beats for some time? No, that's not the correct answer. Heart is myogenic in nature and heart is autoexcited. Okay. So let me tell you, these are the correct options. So 3 and 4, the answer is option number 3, which is statement 3 and statement 4. But why is it correct? Because when the heart of the frog is taken out of the body, it is myogenic. Myogenic meaning, myo meaning muscle, genic means generator, or genic means like to generate something. Okay. So when the heart of the frog is taken out of its body, the muscles, if they receive continuous supply of ATP and continuous blood supply, their muscles are active, they are auto-excitable. So they can themselves generate heartbeat, automatically control the regulation and the rhythm of the heart, and continue the generation of the heartbeat, right? So that is why the heart is myogenic in nature, because the contraction, wave of contraction for the heartbeat is initiated from the muscle itself, making it auto-excited. Next question, question number 158. Okay. Ureters act as urinogenital ducts in what? The answer is male frogs. Okay. So in male frogs, both the ureters act as urinogenital ducts and they both open into the cloaca. So ureters act as urinogenital ducts and open into the cloaca. Next, only in male frogs. Okay. And what is urinogenital ducts? Which means that urine as well as but for males, do you know what acts as the urinogenital duct? The urethra in male humans, like human males, the urethra act as the urinogenital ducts, but in male frogs, the ureters act as urinogenital ducts. So moving to the next question, 159. Lungs are enclosed in what? Anything that relates to lungs has like either it's pulmonary. Okay. So now it's basically plural. So plural membrane is something that the lungs are enclosed in. So the answer for this is option number 4. Pericardium, which is the option 3. What is that? It is the outer covering of the heart. And periosteum is outer covering of the bone. Perichondrium is for soft tissue, or like for the cartilage, right? Not for soft tissue. I'm so sorry. It's for the cartilage. So now let's see the next question. 160. The alveolar epithelium in the lung is answer number 2, which is non-ciliated and squamous epithelium. The correct answer. For 161, the pulmonary disease in which alveolar surface area involved in gas exchange is drastically reduced to damage in the alveolar walls. Okay, I've always mentioned in my previous videos as well, whenever the surface area is reduced for respiration, the alveolar surface area is reduced, the disease is emphysema, right? So when involved in gas exchange, if the pulmonary disease and the surface area is reduced, it is an emphysema. So the answer is 161 is option number 4. 162. Okay, so moving on to question number 162. Erythroblastosis fetalis is caused when fertilization takes place between the gametes of Rh negative female and Rh positive male. Okay, so what happens? Whenever fertilization takes place, gametes of Rh negative female and Rh positive male. Okay, so the resulting fetus blood will be Rh positive because that's the dominant factor. So now the Rh positive blood of the female of the fetus will cause the stimulation of anti-Rh antibodies, anti-Rh factors to be stimulated in the mother's blood. Okay, so now these factors are present. The first pregnancy will be normal, but in the second pregnancy, the mother's body already has anti-Rh antibodies, right? So so these antibodies will attack the fetus in the second pregnancy and will destroy the fetal RBCs. Okay, so moving on to question number 163. Bundle of His is a part of which one of the following organs in humans? This is the most basic question. We know that bundle of His is a part of the heart, right? And what is it a part of? It's part of the conduction system of the heart. So bundle of His. Then for 164, what is a sarcomere? Okay, a sarcomere is the contractile unit of any muscle. Okay, and it is a part present between two Z lines. Okay, so the answer number 164 is correct. Let's just see the explanation once. I can explain it line by line in a better way. So a striated muscle fiber is bound by a sarcolemma muscle fiber. Let me just draw it for you all. 1 second. Okay. So the muscle fiber is bound by a sarcolemma. This is the sarcolemma. That is the outer layer of the muscle fiber. Okay, now the sarcolemma, if we see that zoomed, so it has alternate dark, light, dark, and light, alternate dark and light bands. So now these light and dark bands, when they're present, they create striations. Okay, so they're known as striations. So now दो type के bands बन जाते हैं. There's a dark band and there's a light band. The dark band, which is the darker one, obviously, is known as the A band or the anisotropic band. And the light band, which is the I band, is known as the isotropic band. Okay. So now, which is crossed by the center. So the light and dark bands are crossing by the center by a Z line. The part of the muscle fiber between two Z lines is known as the sarcomere, which is the contractile unit, which is why we started discussing this question. So the light band is known as the I band, which is crossed through its center by a dark membrane known as the Z line. So if I zoom in to the I band again, this is my I band. This would be my darker A band. Okay. So A band, this is the I band which is zoomed in, which is again cut in between by a line known as the Z line. Similarly, here also there will be an I band, right? Because there are alternate I and A bands, right? So if we say this is my A band, this is my A band, this is an I band. This is my A band, this is my I band, this is an A band. So it's alternating. So how is it alternating? It's the A band, I band, A band, I band, A band. In each I band is divided in the center by a line that is the Z line. The part that is between two Z lines. That is basically this part. Okay, the part between two Z lines is known as the sarcomere. Okay. So moving to the next question. Okay, so moving on to question number 165. What is the name of the joint between the ribs and the sternum? What is that? What is the rib and what is the sternum? The sternum is the breastbone, which is present right at the middle of our chest, right? It's a flat bone. Okay, and the ribs are they connect both sides, that is ventrally as well as dorsally. When they're present ventrally, they connect directly to the sternum and form a joint there. When it's connecting posteriorly, they connect to the thoracic vertebra. Okay, because the vertebra that forms the thorax posteriorly. So now if we go to say the joint that will be formed anteriorly or on the ventral side will be what? It's a cartilaginous joint. Why is it a cartilaginous joint? Because the ribs and the sternum are not directly connected. They are connected by the cartilage. Okay. So that is why since it's a cartilaginous joint and not a synovial joint, it provides only limited movement. Okay. But the movements are only limited. Okay. Now the answer for this will be 165 will be answer number 1. Similarly, what are fibrous joints? Fibrous joints are those which provide no movement at all. And synovial joints are freely movable joints which provide complete movement in all directions. depending if they are uniaxial, biaxial, or multiaxial. Now 166, GnRH, a hypothalamic hormone needed in reproduction, acts on what? What is GnRH? It stands for gonadotropin releasing hormone. Okay, this acts on what? It acts on the anterior pituitary gland, right? And now it's gonadotropin releasing hormone. We can break it down and understand the answer. Gonadotropin releasing hormone. So this hormone will help to release gonadotropin. So this hormone will act where? On the area where gonadotropins are stored for them to be released, right? So gonadotropin stored rather than actually they're produced. So where they're produced in the anterior pituitary gland. So the hypothalamic hormone, GnRH, that is gonadotropin releasing hormone, will act on my anterior pituitary and tell it, release, release, release. So it will ask it to release the hormone GN, that is gonadotropins. So what are the gonadotropins? It's LH and FSH. So LH and FSH will be released from the anterior pituitary gland. So let's see. So posterior pituitary, they are saying it acts on the posterior pituitary. These are the wrong options. So it's either A or D. But what is incorrect with option D? It's that it has to release LH and oxytocin. Is oxytocin the gonadotropin? No. That is why the answer is option number A. Insulin is a what? Insulin is obviously a hormone. We all know that. So the answer is 167 is 3, which helps for what? It helps in absorption of glucose and prevent hyperglycemia. That is why it's used in diabetes. The correct sequence of spermatogenesis stages leading to the formation of sperms in a mature human. Test this is what? The answer is option number 1. So first, what happens? It's a spermatogonia, which divides to form spermatocytes. Then spermatids are formed, and then sperms are formed. So the answer is option number 1. The sequence needs to be remembered. For 169, the first movements of the fetus and the appearance of hair on the head are usually observed during which month? Obviously, if you have to see the first movement, it has to be a little later after everything in the fetus is developed, right? So if we go to see, can it be the 3rd month? No, that's too soon. Can it be the 4th month? No, that also is not. So it'll either be the 5th or the 6th month. So the answer for 169 is the 5th month, which is option number 2. Because in humans, the embryo's heart is formed, after which the limbs and digits are formed. And then at the end of the 3rd trimester, which is 3rd trimester, trimester consists of 3rd trimester, meaning in the end of the 4th month. What happens is that most of the major organ systems are formed. So by the 5th month, the fetus has hair on the head and movements are observed. And what happens at the end of 6th month? Then the body is covered with hair and the eyelash is separate. So now for 170, what happens? Which one? So the answer for this was the 5th month. Which one of the following is the most likely root cause why menstruation is not taking place in regularly cycling human female? Okay, so a human female who was having regular menstrual cycles, suddenly menstruation is not taking place. What can be the cause for it? Let's say maintenance of high concentration of sex hormones in the bloodstream, or fertilization of the ovum, or retention of the well-developed corpus luteum, or maintenance of hypertrophical endometrial lining. The answer for 170 is option number 2, which is high concentration of sex steroids. That is estrogen exerts negative feedback. Okay, so let's understand this. Wherever, so when menstruation occurs, what happens is that we have estrogen and progesterone in our body, right? Progesterone is secreted only during pregnancy. So now when the estrogen level increases, the body will realize and a negative mechanism will start acting, right? Negative feedback mechanism will occur on the anterior pituitary. And it will say that, okay, you have enough estrogen in your body. We don't need more estrogen. So what will happen? The LH levels will decrease. And then the LH levels in the blood will decrease. Due to decrease in LH, there will be no ovulation to occur, because for ovulation to occur, we need LH surge. But no ovulation will occur, which will cause irregular menstruation. Okay. Now, suddenly, if a woman stops menstruating, then it can be that ovum has been fertilized, right? And the woman is pregnant. But in this case, it's for a regular cycling female, if she does not undergo her menses for that month, and they become irregular rather. So it is because of high concentration of sex steroids in the body, which is estrogen. So already, let's repeat, already a high level of hormones is present. So the body will feel that, okay, I don't need to produce more. But actually, are they present? No, because those hormones are not the ones which are responsible for releasing of the ovum, right? So ovulation will not occur. Next is an antibody molecule has what? Okay, so it has 2 light chains and 2 heavy chains. We've studied this earlier as well. For the antibody structure, there are 2 light chains and 2 heavy chains. Which cell of the body is known as an HIV factory? Okay, this is an interesting question. So the answer for 172 is option number 2, which is macrophages. Let's read from the explanation and understand. Macrophages of the body are known as the HIV family. Why? Because whenever after the virus enters into the body of the host, okay, so HIV directly goes into the macrophages where it undergoes RNA replication to form DNA. Okay, where RNA replicates to form DNA. Getting that? This viral DNA gets incorporated into the host cell's DNA and directs the infected cells to produce more viruses. So HIV has RNA. That RNA enters the host cell and produces viral DNA. Now that DNA goes into the host's other cells and causes it to form more viruses. So the macrophages continue to produce viruses for the HIV. So if something is producing something for you, it's a factory. So the macrophages are acting as HIV factories. For 173. In agarose gel electrophoresis, the DNA fragments which move farthest from the loading place are the smallest, right? Let's see, if something is very big, it requires more time to cover, right? Like because it'll be heavy, it requires more time to cover a larger distance. But something is small, it can quickly run, quickly go through the small places and reach the destination, right? So that is why the smallest element reaches fastest. This is just a trick way to remember. It's not conceptual, but it will definitely help you remember the answer. Or at least analyze the options. For 174, given below are two statements. Statement 1, in eco R1, the letter R is derived from R by 13 strain of Escherichia coli. Yes, the statement is correct. In eco R1, the letter Co is derived from species coli of Escherichia coli. Yes, this statement is also correct. So the answer for 174, let's see what's given. Statement 1 and 2 are correct. Correct. So 175. Which one of the following is not a site for reabsorption of water? So the water is reabsorbed. We have ascending limb, we have loop of Henle, and we have the descending limb. Okay. So ascending limb of loop of Henle, ascending limb, loop of Henle, and descending limb. So when we send the ascending limb of loop of Henle, it helps in, is it a site for reabsorption of water? No, it's not a site for reabsorption of water because the walls of the ascending limb are impermeable to water. Okay. Next question, 176. Glucose is absorbed in what? So the answer is option number 2. It is in the proximal convoluting tubule. Okay. Why? Because the proximal convoluting tubule has simple cuboidal epithelium cells, which has microvilli. So that helps to increase the surface area of absorption. And since the surface area has increased, glucose will be reabsorbed easily. What are the type of cells present in the PCT? Let's again revise. Simple cuboidal epithelium cell with microvilli, which act as brush border cells. Now for 177, the constituent polypeptide chains are linked to. Let's see. Okay. So when linked to each other in insulin bag. So you have to see when do polypeptide chains occur? They are in insulin. Okay. Now the polypeptide chains in insulin are linked together by obviously disulfide bridges. We know this is the structure of insulin, right? So the answer 177 is option number 3. 178. Sugar polymer, which decides the type of blood group located in sugar polymer, which decide the type of blood group, are located in the blood plasma, in the plasma of the blood, in the plasma of the WBC, plasma membrane of RBC, or the bone marrow. Okay, so we know that our blood groups are decided by, is it decided by the WBCs? No, it's decided by the RBCs. So the sugar polymer, which decide the type of blood groups, are located on the plasma membrane of the RBCs. That's the correct answer. 179. The most accepted line of descent of human evolution is option number 3, which is Ramapithecus, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, and Homo sapiens. Now, these the questions of chapter evolution are such that they cannot be explained as much as remembered. It's difficult to do both, right? So, I mean, I will not be able to explain why is it Ramapithecus, why is it Homo habilis, why is it Homo erectus, but it's something that you all need to remember, a line of hierarchy which has been going on, which will be going on, and which needs to be remembered. So please try to remember. We have Ramapithecus, we have Homo habilis, we have Homo erectus, and we have Homo sapiens. Next, theory of evolution by it's a theory of evolution by mutation was proposed by, the answer is De Vries. Okay, so the answer is option number 3. And what does the theory state? According to the De Vries mutation theory, living organisms can develop changes to other genes that greatly alter the organism. These changes are passed on from one generation to the next generation, leading to the development of new species. Once a species has evolved, it becomes fixed and it stops changing. This is De Vries' theory of evolution by mutation. Next, the thalamus and the hypothalamus are located in the brainstem, cerebrum, cerebellum, or diencephalon. They are located in the diencephalon. Direct NCERT line. For 182, during the transmission of nerve impulse from a nerve fiber, the potential on the inner side of the plasma membrane has which type of electrical charge? Let's see. So the answer for this is option number 4. The inner side is first negative, then positive, then it goes back to negative. Okay. So to remember this, you can remember, and this is also a neat question, by the way, 2007. So what, to remember this as a trick way, what you can do is, there's a lot of negativity in our lives, right? But then if we change to positive, then maybe again negativity, it goes ups and downs. Everything that has negativity will always change to positivity, right? So remembering it that way, negativity inside our heart needs to change to positive. Negativity inside our heart will refer to the inner side of the membrane. Negativity means the negative charge, which will change to positive charge, which may again change the negative charge and then continue the process of depolarization and repolarization, which will help the transfer of nerve fibers or nerve signals. Sorry. For 183, the nerve center which control the body temperature and the urge for eating are located in the hypothalamus, because we know that hypothalamus is the temperature regulating center. And okay, if we see that if our temperature is not regulated, our moods are not regulated, what happens is we constantly feel hungry, we are cranky, blah blah blah. So उस केस में क्या होता है, अपना खाने का सेंटर and अपना गर्मी ठंडी का सेंटर, both of these centers are located in the hypothalamus. So the answer is 183 is 1. 184. The bicuspid valve is found between, I'm so sorry, just give me a minute. Oh. Yeah, I am so sorry for that. Okay, the bicuspid valve is found between. Let me just draw this and explain it to you all. So, this is our heart. Okay, oh, I'm not that good at drawing. Please spare me. This is our heart. Let's divide it into 4 chambers. Okay, we have the right auricle or the right atrium, the right ventricle, the left atrium, and the left ventricle, right? So now the right, let me just, yeah, okay. So the right atrium will be receiving blood from where? It will receive blood from parts of the body, the vena cava, right. The right ventricle, the blood from the right atrium goes to the right ventricle. After that, the blood from the right ventricle will go where? It will go to the lungs via the pulmonary artery, because the arteries carry blood away from the heart. Now, when it reaches here, the blood will reach the left atrium. Left atrium will go to the left ventricle, and then from here to the aorta to the different parts of the body. So there are valves present here, and here. Valves are present between the auricles or the atrium and the ventricles on either side, on both the sides. The valves present on the right side are known as tricuspid valves. The valves on the left side are known as bicuspid valves. Bicuspid valves are also known as the mitral valves or the mitral valve. Okay. So that is why the answer bicuspid valves are found between. Let me just put up the options again for you all by erasing this first. Okay. Bicuspid valves are found between, as we studied, it's between the left atrium and the left ventricle. So 184, the answer is option number 2. For 185, so 185th question. Sorry, yeah. Spermatids are transformed into spermatozoa by the process of, can you all guess? Is it spermatogenesis? Spermatogenesis is the formation of sperms, right? So is it spermatogenesis? Is it spermiogenesis? The answer is spermiogenesis, because spermatids are transformed into spermatozoa by a process called spermiogenesis. Spermiation is not the correct answer for this. Spermatogenesis, spermiogenesis, and spermiation. Spermiation is the process of release of the sperms. Spermatogenesis is the process of formation of sperms from the germ cells directly. Okay. And so the answer for this question is sperm, which options is, yeah, it is spermiogenesis, which is option number 1. For 186th question, we will move on to section B now. So pneumatic bone is found in, pneumatic meaning air filled, right? Which I said. So if we have a pneumothorax or we have a pneumonectomy, which means pneumo meaning to lung, and lung is anything, lung is the organ which has air in it, right? So anything air filled is known as pneumo. So now if we have pneumatic bones, we can say the shark have pneumatic bones? No. Does rana, meaning frog, have pneumatic bones? No. Pigeons have pneumatic bones because when the density decreases, the bones are pneumatic, so they can fly easily. So answer for 163 is option number 3. A pacemaker in the frog. Okay, so moving on to question number 187. The pacemaker in frog heart is, the answer is option number 3, which is sinus venosus. So in amphibians like frog, the pacemaker is the sinus venosus, which is an area between the vena cava and the correct chamber. Okay, moving to question number 188. A large proportion of oxygen remains unused in the human blood even after its uptake from the body tissues. This oxygen is used for what? It's basically it acts as a reserve during muscular exercise. So when we do muscular exercise, our muscles require more oxygen because otherwise they may have to perform anaerobic respiration. And the body tries to prevent going into the phase of anaerobic respiration as much as possible. So we store a little extra oxygen. After that is also used, the body will start performing anaerobic respiration and lactic acid will be produced, which causes muscle aches, that is myalgia. So, so the oxygen that is stored in the body tissues acts as a reserve during muscular exercise. Answer for 188 is option number 1. For 189, a vein possesses a large lumen because, okay, let's think why can a vein possess a larger lumen? Because, okay, we have tunica externa, we have tunica intima, and we have tunica media, right? So now in veins, the walls of the veins consist of a tunica externa, the tunica media, and tunica interna, 3 layers. All these 3 layers are present in the artery also. But in the artery, as given here, the walls of the vein, the elastic membrane of tunica interna is relatively thick, okay? And the muscle fibers in tunica media are fluid. So because of that, the vein has thicker and less elastic wall. So even though the same number of layers are present in the artery and the vein, but in the vein, uh, tunica media are fewer. The fibers of tunica media are fewer, and the tunica interna is relatively thinner. So the answer for this is the tunica media is a thin coat. So does the second option sound correct to you? Does the tunica interna and tunica media form a single coat? No, they're two different layers itself, and both of them are reduced in thickness as compared to arteries. But the correct option here is this one. Long bones function in what? Okay. So the functions of long bones, any guesses? The function of long bones are support. Yes, definitely it's an option. Support as well as erythrocyte and sorry, there's some technical issues which caused the previous video to get cut off. So if we see now the adrenal cortex, which is the outer part, adrenal medulla, which is the inner part. So each of these will secrete hormones, right? Because they are acting, because they are endocrine glands. So the outer cortex secretes various hormones, and the inner medulla secretes only one hormone, which is the adrenaline and noradrenaline. Okay. So now if we see aldosterone, both androstenedione and dehydroepiandrosterone and cortisol. All these three are secreted by what? By the cortex. So if there's damage to the cortex, what will not be affected? The adrenaline, because that is produced by the medulla. So moving on to the next question, 192. Hormones thyroxine, adrenaline, and the pigment melanin are formed from what? Any guesses? So first option being tyrosine, then proline, then tryptophan, and then glycine. Answer for this is option number 1. This is, you need to remember, this is not much concept behind it. So thyroxine, adrenaline, and melanin are all formed from tyrosine. Because tyrosine is transformed into dopa through the enzyme tyrosinase. And through different pathways, these different hormones are produced. In human female, for question number 193, the blastocyst. What happens to the blastocyst? Oh, yeah. The blastocyst gets implanted in the endometrium by the trophoblast cells. Because we know that implantation occurs in the endometrium. Does the blastocyst get nutrition from the uterine endometrial secretion only after implantation? No. Does it get implanted in the uterus 3 days after ovulation? All of these statements are vaguely correct, but the correct answer, perfect answer, accurate answer to this is gets implanted in the endometrium by the trophoblast cells. Okay. So now for option number 194. Read the assertion and reason carefully to mark the correct option. Finally, an assertion and reasoning question, right? So, transmission of the nerve impulse across the synapse is accomplished by neurotransmitters? Yes. Transmission across the synapse usually requires neurotransmitters. Why? Because there's a small space, that is synaptic cleft, that separates one neuron from the other. It's perfect. So 194, both these statements are correct, which is assertion and reason are true, and reason is the correct explanation for the assertion. For 195, okay, so sorry. Diabetes insipidus is marked by excessive urination and too much thirst for water. Yes. Why? Because antidiuretic hormone is secreted by the posterior lobe of pituitary gland. So what does antidiuretic hormone do? Antidiuretic, which means it prevents urination, right? So it does not allow the urine parts of the body to go out. So it's antidiuretic hormone. Right. So if we see in this question, diabetes insipidus, what happens in diabetes insipidus is that decrease in antidiuretic hormone. So since the body is not able to reabsorb or hold back that much water, it is secreted out or it is excreted. That is why we have excess urination. And due to excess urination, we'll also need to drink enough water, which will cause excessive thirst, right? So that occurs in diabetes insipidus. So the assertion is correct. For the reasoning, antidiuretic hormone is secreted by the posterior lobe of pituitary gland. That is also correct. But is it explaining why antidiuretic hormone is causing diabetes insipidus? No. So the assertion is correct, the reason is correct, but they are not the correct explanations for each other. For 196, which of the following plants have hallucinogenic property? So the answer for this is option number 4, that is Datura, Atropa belladonna, and Erythroxylum coca. All of these have hallucinogenic properties. Okay, which one of the following is used as the best genetic vector for animals? The answer is retroviruses are used as the best genetic vector. This is an NCERT line. Please try to remember it. Okay, vector. So basically, they're used to transmit the DNA. Now for 198, again an assertion and reasoning question. Very low concentration of bacteria or viruses can be detected by amplification of their nucleic acids. Yes, it's correct. And ELISA is based on the principle of antigen-antibody reactions. That is also correct. So assertion is correct, reason is correct. But are they telling me that the reason and assertion are connected? No. So ELISA is based on the principle of antigen-antibody reaction. I do agree to that. And very low concentration of bacteriaceae can also be detected by amplification. Yes, I do agree to that too. But does that say that that is for ELISA? No, that does not. So I do not agree to that. So these two statements are correct, but they're not related to each other. For 199, flippers of penguins and dolphins are, we easily remember this. We have that they are analogous. What is meant by analogous? Analogous occurs in convergent evolution. Remember, I had mentioned A, C, analogous in convergent evolution. What is analogous? Analogous organs are those which have similar functions but different origins. So flippers of penguins and dolphins both have similar functions, that they help in swimming, right? But they're not related to each other because flippers have different origins and the flippers of dolphins and penguins both have different origins. So they're analogous. They're developed by convergent evolution. A, C. HD is for homologous divergent evolution. Let's see. Which one is the correct matching set? Okay, which of these are curable, incurable, infertility removal, and unwanted pregnancies? Okay. So if there's an unwanted pregnancy, what do? We do medical termination of pregnancy. So answer for D is option number 1. Now, as we can see in the 4 options, there's only one option which has D as 1. So that's obviously our correct answer. But since we are here to analyze and understand concepts, let's see. Curable STD is in syphilis, correct? Incurable STD occurs in AIDS. Infertility removal occurs by gift. Gift is gamete intrafallopian transfer. Okay, so that helps to remove infertility because the person receives gamete as a gift, if you see, right? So that is why the person can get pregnant and then infertility can be removed. So yes, that's all from my side today. I hope the concepts have been cleared. If any concept has not been cleared, or there may be anything that I may have said incorrectly or mispronounced or not explained correctly, or may have skipped as well due to some technical issues while editing this video, I do apologize. And you can please mention in the comment section below. We'll be glad enough to solve out any queries. And also we are working with y'all for y'all. So yes, please stay tuned for further test series. We're coming up with many more things in the future, and we're aiming to get y'all the success that y'all deserve. So continue being a MEMONEETian, and thank you so much. Do drop any requests or any doubts, queries, etc. in the comment section, and we'll be very spontaneous to get back to you. Thank you.